Agenda 120 Oriamize Oweje. Is he present here? I will now call upon the Network of Women Leaders for Development, 553. Madam, are you the Network of Women Leaders for Development?
Madame, vous avez la parole pour 5 minutes.
Thank you, sir. Honorable Chairperson of the African Commission, Honorable Commissioners, development partners, members of the media, and all protocol duly observed. The Women Leaders Network for Development, RFLD, in partnership with the West Africa Civil Society Institute, WACSI, welcomes the convening of the 87th Ordinary Session of the African Commission on Human and People's Rights. It is an honor to contribute to the Commission's deliberation by sharing insight from our work, regional engagement, and empirical research on the state of civic space and human rights across West Africa and the wider sub-Saharan Africa. Honorable Chairperson, the civic space environment across Africa continues to decline under the combined pressure of democratic backsliding, militarized governance, insecurity, digital repression, and diminishing tolerance for dissent. Recent findings from the 2025 Civic Space Assessment in West Africa, alongside data from Civic Space Monitor, show that several countries in the region are now classified as obstructed, repressed, or closed, with increasing restrictions on freedom of expression, peaceful assembly, media freedom, and association. The withdrawal of Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger from ECOWAS, alongside growing securitization trends across both AES and ECOWAS countries, has further weakened regional democratic accountability mechanism and heightened risk for journalists, civic space actors, women-led movement, and human rights defenders. With the ratification of continental and international human rights instruments, which continues to progress, civic space itself is shrinking at an alarming pace. Data from the RFLD Donors Data Hub indicates that restrictive cybersecurity and public order law have increasingly been used across more than 30 African countries to undermine freedom of expression, digital rights, and civic participation. The recent cancellation of RightsCon in the Republic of Zambia, one of the world's leading platforms for human rights and technology conversation, further underscored the growing fragility of digital freedom across the continent. At the same time, impunity for violation of civil and political rights remain a major obstacle to democratic consolidation. Gender equality also remains an unfinished struggle. Despite the progress made on the Maputo Protocol, gender-based violence continues to rise across conflict and politically fragile contexts. Evidence gathered through our monitoring platform indicates that women and girls in conflict-affected communities continue to face systemic violence with limited access to legal protection, psychosocial support, and effective remedies. As a feminist organization and civil society institution committed to democratic governance, human rights, and ecosystem resilience, RFLD and WACSI continue to deploy multidimensional approaches aimed at protecting civic space, strengthening women's leadership, supporting civil society sustainability, and advancing climate and social justice. Through strategic convening and indigenous data system, we advocate and transform civic space into credible policy influence capable of shaping regional, national, and continental responses to human rights challenges. Honorable Chairperson, we further draw the Commission's attention to the growing intersection between climate injustice, displacement, and human rights violations. Environmental crises have displaced millions across sub-Saharan Africa, the majority of whom are women and children. Yet many affected populations continue to exist without protection and inadequate recognition of climate-induced displacement. Access to clean water has been discussed on this floor since yesterday. Sanitation must therefore no longer be viewed solely as a development concern, but as a fundamental human right directly linked to dignity, health, education, and peace building. The question of justice for African and people of African descent also remain both urgent and unresolved. The enduring legacy of slavery, colonialism, structural racism, and economic dispossession continue to shape inequalities experienced by African people globally. Reparatory justice must therefore be approached not as a charity, but as a legitimate moral, political, and legal obligation, grounded in truth, accountability, restitution, and historical recognition. In light of this, Honorable Chairperson, RFLD and WACSI respectfully calls on the Commission and State Party to strengthen accountability mechanism for implementing judgment of the African Court on Human and People's Rights, develop stronger normative guidance linking digital governance and cybersecurity framework with the protection of fundamental human rights and civic freedom, prioritize gender-sensitive protection system, digital safety mechanism, and reporting pathways for women's human rights defenders, women journalists, and feminist movement facing our basic civics repression. Honorable Chairperson, the shrinking civic space in the continent is no longer an isolated governance concern. It is rapidly becoming a continental challenge to peace, security, and democratic stability. Thank you very much.